a lot of times I felt like, why can't I do these things by myself? Everyone else is doing fine. Are they? Who knows? But in your mind, you're like, everyone else is doing fine. I should be able to handle all this by myself. And getting out of that mindset and realizing like none of us were meant to walk this alone. And also, I really want to be mobile as an older person.
Oh, that's so important to me, y'all. Sometimes I'm insane. I'll be in this house just randomly falling down to see how my body reacts.
I wanted to start with a puppy. I don't know.
Crazy.
It's insane. And not only one, I went to go get a mom and 12 puppies.
I think that it's very easy when you are a single woman sometimes to live your life in the waiting room where you are just in this waiting room and you're not stepping into living your life fully because you're waiting for this partner to come.
You ever say something and think, wait, was that a teeny bit much?
I mean, if you have to ask, it probably was. But guess what? We're saying it anyway. So if you've ever been told you were too loud,
too sensitive,
too opinionated,
or just a bit much,
good news, you found your people.
Because we're not toning it down anymore.
Welcome to A Teeny Bit Much,
the podcast where being too much isn't something to fix.
It's something to own. Welcome back to A Teeny Bit Much podcast, the podcast for women who were always told they were a teeny bit much, but now they're a bit wiser, a bit more confident, and wear that title like a badge of honor.
I'm your host, Chissy.
And Krystal.
And today we're talking about the things that actually changed our lives in our 30s. Not the generic drinking more water, stretching a little, though those are great. We're getting into the nitty-gritty of what really impacted our lives.
This one's part reflection, part girl chat, and of course a little bit chaotic. We're going all the way from adopting dogs to getting our lashes done.
Before we get started on all that, Krystal, what couldn't you get enough of this week?
Okay, girl. So this week I could not get enough of coworkers that are funny, like fun coworkers.
Aww.
I normally do not like to talk to my coworkers too much, but I recently have made a friend.
Since when?
That's it, right. I'm lying. I'm capping. I always collect coworkers, but I have finally found one at my new job who is actually like a good new collection.
Aww.
And so he just cracks me up. He comes on my office once a week. He's in there for like 2 hours yapping.
I love it.
And so, yeah, but what couldn't you get enough of this week?
Girl, female rap.
Okay.
I took a break for a little bit. Now I'm back with the jump off.
Okay.
If you know where that's from, you know, you're in the right demographic. But no, I don't know. It's just so girly pop. It's so fun. It's so delightful. And I also love how like men are so into it too, because I remember the age where like female rap was considered corny. Like the men kind of put it as like, oh, that's for women. But you know, I love that. Everyone is appreciating it. Everyone is singing the YK Nice lyrics and doing the dances. You know, I really appreciate that.
I love it too. And I think it's so great how women have truly taken over rap, in my opinion. And I love it. I feel like for so long, there was an idea that there could only be one or maybe two. And now there's just so many women rappers. And I think one thing that I love too is the fact like some people are like, oh, she can't rap. What's that one girl? Sexy Red. She can't rap. And for me, I'm always like, perfect. Yes, a mid-female rapper, a mid-woman rapper who's allowed to still take up space. Because we never say that about man rapper. We'll say like, oh, they can't rap, but then they still get a seat at the table.
Yeah.
So I love to see all these women that maybe it's not your type of rap, but there's so many options out there.
I think that's real progress when you get to be mid. People don't talk about that anymore. Like being able to be mid is progress, especially, no Tina shade, when a darker complexion Black woman is able to be mid.
Exactly.
We've made it, honey.
And it just shows how we have evolved from there just having to be one or two.
Right.
Also, and not to get too down this rabbit hole, but another thing that I love is the fact that women don't need a cosign anymore.
Yes.
Back in the 2000s, in the 90s, the only way you were going to be a well-known woman rapper is if you had a man sign off.
Or usually even a group.
Yeah, or a group. Now, you just pop up, okay? You just pop up on SoundCloud or wherever, on TikTok, and now you have a hit. So I agree with that. That's a good one.
And before we get into our main discussion, I just want to introduce our co-host. If you're wondering, we have 3 dogs sitting on the couch with us. If you're listening, go look at the video. And so they might be a little rowdy. They might be a little... they're trying their best. They're doing great right now. To the left of Krystal, you want to introduce him?
Oh, yeah, this is Max. And of course, if you're not watching the video version, you can't see them. So we do upload all of our podcasts to YouTube so you can
Yes.
see the visual. I definitely suggest watching them, y'all, because there's always chaos. But this is Max. He is my golden doodle who I rescued about 4 or 5 months ago.
And to the right, this is Buddy. I'm going to talk about Buddy a little later because he's on the list of my things. He started all this, okay? He is the reason why all these dogs were rescued. Okay?
That is very true.
He is my baby. I've had him since COVID, and I'll talk about that. So I've had him for 5 years. And licking me and crawling over to me is not my dog. This is actually Krystal's dog, but he loves me too. This is Oreo.
Yes, and I don't know if y'all can see him on video. If not, we'll insert pictures. We have plenty of them because we're millennials with no kids and dogs. So they're half of our phones.
He's trying to force me to pet him.
Okay, as you should, queen. As you should, queen. So here's the thing about your 30s. You still don't know what you're doing, but you stop pretending for other people.
I know. It's like you have your boundaries, kind of. You have your budget sometimes, you know. You're getting it a little bit more together. Now, you're not your final form that I feel like you get to in your 40s, but you're on your way.
All right, so let's get into it. Today, we're going to be sharing 5 things each that have changed our lives in the most beautiful, chaotic, and therapeutic ways. And the first one on my list is becoming a hobby person.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, I am the biggest hobby girl. And what kicked that off for me is that I've always been a hobby person, honestly. But as I got more into my 30s, I realized that my life was just becoming work, going out, and coming home.
Yeah.
And for me, I am what I would consider a life learner. I am always interested in like expanding my knowledge, pursuing new hobbies, and just making sure that I'm using my brain. I work as an accountant, so my job is very boring and kind of very suit and tie. So I've looked for hobbies that have really allowed for me to be creative.
Like what?
Oh, girl, the list is long.
Let them know.
So I have done ice skating. I have done golf. I have done tennis. I have started a YouTube channel. I have started a podcast that I stopped. I have
roller skating.
I have tried to sell stuff on Etsy. Like, I have just done so many hobbies.
The best thing about Krystal is like there's never like a big announcement. It's just like, oh, what are you doing? On my way to my ice skating lessons. And it's like, huh?
Constantly. The same way I went to Mexico City and I came home and I was like, okay, I'm learning Spanish now. And it's not half-stepping. I always commit to these hobbies fully. Now, do I drop them sometimes? Absolutely. But I have no regrets about pursuing them.
And I think it just makes your life like so much more well-rounded. You can relate to more people. And like even it just adds a dimension to you. Like this year I'm trying to become a gamer. So I bought a PS5 and I'm trying to learn how to game. Why? Who knows? I also think it's just beneficial to have an aspect of play that you don't monetize. You know what I mean?
That's so important. I agree completely. And I think, again, you have to be so mindful that it is so easy to fall into a very mundane life.
Yeah.
And you have the control to change it. You have to pick things and just continue to find things that bring you joy. Because if you don't, you're going to be miserable. Like, I constantly have to decide to do something fun.
Yeah. And one thing that's always so funny to me is like when I'm reading or listening to like things for singles and they're like, go make your life full. And it's like, baby, that is not the sermon you need to preach over here. The life's a little too full. Like our lives is so full. Like I feel like there's so much that we do. Even one of my guy friends who's married with the kids, he was like, I forgot, we were talking about something like, hey, I'm about to go volunteer. Cause I volunteer with musicals and theaters. And he's like, you are the most interesting single woman I know. Like, he's like, honestly, I wish you would talk to some of, because he has a home group. So and it's very young. He's like, I wish you would kind of mentor them because so many people like that he knows, they're just always moping or crying or waiting to be married. And he's like, your life is so full. And I was just really, really flattered. And I think like picking up hobbies or interest and like really putting your time and energy into it really helps that.
I agree. And I will say, I think that age has brought that perspective. I definitely think in your 20s, your early 20s, your mid 20s, it is very easy to not realize the importance of having a full life outside of like going out and dating and stuff like that. So I could see how 20 somethings are kind of, it's easy to have that one track mind about like either you're trying to do grad school or you're trying to become a wife.
And I think the thing that's best about incorporating it now pre-marriage is like when I get married, I think all the stuff you do when you have time, you have a better chance of keeping them when you don't really have time or making them a priority.
I completely agree. I think that you have to build the life that you want now.
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to multitask. And it teaches me that all the time. It also teaches me too, and this is something that I think is beautiful about hobbies, is when you tend to be a perfectionist and you're someone that's a high performer, there is something really joyful and reminds you how you're just a human about learning something new.
Yeah.
Right? When I started doing YouTube, I wasn't good at editing. I had to learn it. Learning Spanish, I went through the drive-thru and tried to order Taco Bell. I messed up.
Spanish?
Yeah, I messed up a few words, but it's like that humility and just reminding yourself it's not that serious to make mistakes and to grow.
You know what's funny, but also kind of silly? Like, learning to game is kind of me also working through being bad at something.
Yeah.
Because I hate being bad at stuff. Like, I usually shy away from anything that I'm not automatically at least decent or good at.
See, yeah.
And so it's like,
so good for
I'm working through, and also things publicly, because like the games I really want to play, you have to play with other people.
Exactly.
And it's like, my brother's like, why aren't you on? And I'm like, I'm very bad. And he's like, so? Like, you don't know
have
these...
to let that go, because it's like, you're not good at anything at the beginning.
That's true. No, some things I am, though. No tea, no shade. I'm like, some things I'm naturally good at.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're having an experience of not being good at something, and then you'll
really
get
good
better.
for me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, that is just that's how you grow, when you push through the awkwardness of like, I'm not good at this. I don't know what I'm doing. This is very uncomfortable, but you keep going.
Exactly. So what's your first one, Nulia?
My first one is a bit superficial.
No, I don't think so.
Getting my eyebrows micro shaded / bladed, and then also getting lash extensions regularly. Those two things. First of all, I really feel like it's a cheat code. I feel like it's the meta. Like, if you have, I naturally
also, you are such a gamer girl now with this Twitch. The way she will drop in Twitch lingo like it's nothing. I know she got the meta from some of these Twitchers or gamers.
I was going to say it's comp, so I'm doing better.
What is comp?
Girl.
Oh, see?
Oh my gosh. Get with it. Even though the way I'm saying it sounds very old. Like, they're going to clock me real quick. The way I'm saying it sounds very old. I'm not using it naturally.
But tell us why that's the meta.
No, for real. Because I remember when I have naturally very thin and wide brows. Like, you don't see them if they're not like waxed or threaded. And I watched a million videos on how to do your brows, like how to pencil them. I just am not good at it. And so I would always struggle with my makeup because and one thing my sister said when I was young that is really true. She's like, your brows frame your face.
They
do.
If
your brows are not popping, she's like, she said it doesn't matter what you do with your eyes, but it does matter, but it's just not the same. And so I would always struggle when it's like, oh, my brows are not defined and I can't do them well. And then I would go get waxes and I go get thread, but it's just a constant battle. And so I found a lady and I realized like, oh, if I get tints, my brows look better, a little longer, but they don't last that long.
No, they don't.
And also it's expensive.
So
like
pricey.
This lady, it was like $33 or $36 for a wax and a tint. Now she did an amazing job, but it's so expensive. And I was getting it like every month or every 3 weeks. And so after like a year and a half, I'm like, I might as well have just paid to get the micro shading for $600. And so I got the micro shading for $600 and best money I've ever spent.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I was very skeptical at first, as I always am. I was kind of like, please don't mess up my friend's eyebrows because I don't got the time for us to be trying to find a solution. But y'all, they are so good. And they have maintained really, really well.
Yeah. And it's about time for me to go get a color boost. And it's so funny because I loved them in the beginning before they faded.
And I think everybody else was a bit like, okay.
No, I got so many compliments.
At the beginning?
The first day when I went to Marshall's, literally a black man was like, your eyebrows look, not a gay one. Like a straight black man was like, your eyebrows look amazing.
I think maybe it was a shocker, but I am a natural girly pop, so that's maybe why too. But no, they look great.
Even as they faded, and it saves me so much time. And I feel like with brows and lashes, you always look put together. Especially if you have your skin done. Even if you don't have like makeup on, you just look a level of polished without having to put in much effort. Like you don't have to do makeup, but if you do a little bit of concealer, I just feel like it's just such a game changer.
It is. I also think it's funny because for me, the reason why I used to get my lashes done so consistently is men always compliment me on my eyes. Yeah. Like that's one of the first compliments men always give me. And so once I got lashes one time and I realized how much it just added to what I was already getting complimented on, it was like, oh, I can't stop now.
No, you can't.
But now I don't have them.
It's a hack. And I think I love about lashes I feel like I wake up looking like just a sultry queen.
You
like,
do.
And then it's like I'm always video ready. I'm always, because it's like, as I also like, I have small eyes, but they are almond shaped. And so it does give me like this more, like it gives it's this je ne sais quoi. And so I feel like when I get the lashes on, it's just, I feel really beautiful.
And that's what matters. Getting things done that make you feel good and remembering what's a good investment.
Yes.
Like really finding it for yourself, because beauty investments and beauty treatments are so expensive, y'all. We have a whole episode coming up about it this season. But just like finding those things and investing in them.
Period.
Now I might not be able to be everything, but like I agree. Starting with the eyes is
$600 is not bad for like 2+ years.
It's not. It's very, very worth it. And now I would get them. I love you being the medical guinea pig.
She always does. And it's so not fair. But then she'll always say I make her go first. But for medical things, I always go
She
first.
makes me go first for other life things. Like I started a business first in the event industry. Again, an episode coming about that.
Which one did you start first?
The photo. You always act. I told you.
I had an events business in 2019.
What event business?
LLC when I did my Afro Beats and Brunch.
I never heard of this.
You didn't come, but I had an Eventbrite. I sold out. I had
okay, well, you should have stuck with it. But as far as having an event business where you had to deliver things and you had a website, did it first, okay? Because she act like I didn't put her on the honey books. And I'm tired of her not giving me my tins about teaching her how to run a Google ad and everything.
You did.
Let's not act brand new, okay?
But when it comes to the actual going under the knife.
I send you first every time, and I have no regrets. But I do things first, like that. Also, it's us as a team that she'll call me about,
Yeah.
Anywho, let's not get into that.
What's your next thing that changed your life in the 30s?
My next one, y'all, it was so hard, and this is again shout out to her because she was first for this. Is getting a housekeeper. Y'all, getting a housekeeper changed my life so much. I used to feel a lot of shame and a lot of pressure. I think this is normal for single women about feeling like, well, I'm single. I live alone. Why should I have a housekeeper? It shouldn't be a necessity. I shouldn't do that. There's no excuse for my house not to be clean and it's just me. Releasing myself from that and realizing that I have a limited amount of time in the day and I have other priorities sometimes, and just hiring the housekeeper. First of all, when your house is a mess, your mind is a mess. I'm one of those people that like, if my environment is not together, it will lead me to be a little bit depressed, a little bit down. It just does not add to my overall vibes.
No, I completely agree. Even though you were a hard sell with the housekeeper and you still don't, you say it's budget, but I feel like talk about getting through the shame first, because you were big on like, well, let me clean up my house to a certain extent. And
talking about getting through the shame, I think one thing is that we're from the South. I'm a Southern girl. I was raised that you should be able to have your house clean. Also, too, just coming from a working class family, spending money on a housekeeper just seemed so
luxurious.
Not even luxurious, but like irresponsible kind of. If that makes sense.
Really?
Like wasteful. Like, girl, what a privileged brat you are that you're going to pay somebody to come clean your house and you're one person.
I can't relate. I love stuff like let me tell you, when I got a psychiatrist and a psychologist, I was like, oh, I'm white woman rich. Like when I had like different, and I think I had like a therapist, a psychiatrist, and something else. I was like, baby.
Yeah, and then too, just I think sometimes feeling like, oh, that money could be used for something else more quote unquote responsible was part of it too. Like this whole mindset. But at the end of the day, I had to realize and kind of remember that, again, when my house is not clean, I don't feel my best.
Yeah.
So what's more important than me feeling my best? What's more important than me having good mental health and being in a good space? So it's worth it to pay for it.
And I think like the correlation with like having a clean space and your mental health is so underrated, because having bad mental health can lead to a messy space and it's hard to get out of there. But like once things get cleaned up, it just you feel better. It lifts you up. It's motivating. And then also there's only one you, and you can't outsource so many things that you do. So finding the things that you can outsource, and if you can afford to outsource them, is just so helpful. Like everything you can outsource that you can afford to outsource, do it. Everything. I am a firm believer, especially if you're a busy woman, especially you're both corporate women, like everything I can outsource. Let me tell you, when I can afford to, I might get a driver.
Okay.
I don't like driving, and it takes up a lot of time in the city I live in.
Yeah, and maybe it's hard for me to picture that because while we're corporate women, there's a budget. Like I'm trying to buy a second house, and so that's
Well, that's what I'm talking about,
Sometimes
affordability, right? When it gets to that point. But also, if I could afford to, I would get a chef. I would get a
me too.
personal trainer.
Of course,
I would.
course.
Yeah. So it's
If we were Cardi B rich, I
don't think you even need to be Cardi B rich if you're responsible. To be honest, a lot of these things are not that expensive.
Really?
When you think about how much you spend eating out, when you think about how much you spend with car payments, insurance, gas, toll,
wait, so you wouldn't want a car at all?
Maybe if I paid off my car, and that would just be maybe the family car, and I would have when I have kids, for sure I'm gonna have a driver for the kids, for sure. I just feel like
and
certain
you want
things.
them to go to private school?
Yes.
Okay. Lord, let this man be rich, because clearly,
or let me be rich.
Period. Hopefully, this podcast pops off.
Really, that's why you need to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed so far, you see the dreams, you see the visions, you know the bread we need.
Yes, but yeah, I would definitely say just outsourcing really kind of freed me from a lot of stress about things, and it definitely has been worth it. And it might be seasonal, like you get a housekeeper for 6 months and then you have to take a break. It's not saying that you always have to have one, but just as a single woman, if you're watching this, release yourself from the shame or the thoughts that you have to be in a certain place to get certain things. Because if you work hard for your money, you only have so much time in the day. You want to be out, you want to also work your job and do well. Hire a housekeeper.
And if you are a single mother with kids, or honestly any mother with kids, but I can't imagine being a single mother. Find it in the budget if you can.
I don't want to say too much because I think that's coming from a place of privilege.
Okay, but I'm talking about the women who, like us, you're going on trips, you're buying bags, you're buying, but you feel like you can't afford a housekeeper. You can.
You can.
If you're doing these things that we're doing, if you're in the same socioeconomic, but you feel like, oh, I can't afford that, that's too much, but you're going to Jamaica or Brazil, or you can afford it. And it's more important. For your mental health. I think there's a level of oh, I can do this, so I should do this, even though you can afford it. And it's these things are more luxuries than actually traveling. Coming home to a clean space that you didn't have to clean, that is clean for you, as a form of self-care. And if you are in a certain socioeconomic bracket, and also you can find people that are very affordable. And maybe you don't get the whole house clean. Figure out what areas are important to you, because I wasn't getting my whole place cleaned. I was I need you to get all of downstairs and my bathroom. And that's really it. And the guest bathroom. And that's it.
Yeah.
So certain rooms, it's whatever. But find what's important to you and what makes you feel okay, this gives me peace, and put money and invest in that if you can.
Yeah. So what was your next one?
My next one was reading certain books in my 30s. I've always been a self-help junkie. But when it got to my 30s, I feel I started digesting them in a different fashion. And there are certain books that I think really digesting it and implementing it has really helped, and also changing mindsets based on it. So one book was The Mountain Is You, which I told you about. And I feel you didn't read it for months.
I don't believe in reading a self-help book if you're not in this season to receive it.
That's
I think
fair.
people make a lot of mistakes about just because a self-help book is on the top list of New York Times and stuff. I think that self-help is kind of like therapy. Sometimes you need to leave it at the table and come back to eat the meal when you're ready. That's my personal perspective. There's been self-help books I've started. I've read 2 chapters and I put the book down for 2 years, and then I come back to it because I'm in a season where what it's written in there, I'm ready to receive and actually implement. So that's why.
So do you feel when you start reading, or you just know in general that you're not ready to receive anymore?
I think sometimes you're just in a place, there's one book, and I don't want to hijack your list, but I love the book Uninvited by Lisa Turkis.
Love Uninvited.
And it's about just rejection. I related it personally to me when I read it in that season. It was about singleness.
Mm-hmm.
I was really struggling with being single in my late 20s. I bought that book at 24. So if I read it at 24, 25, my mindset wouldn't have been the same. Maybe it was even earlier as when I read it, when I finally picked it up, because I was in a season where I needed that message for where I was,
That's fair. I read I love Uninvited. That would also be on my list. The Mountain Is You really taught me about self-sabotage. And I think as people who have huge aspirations, it's very easy to feel a goal isn't a goal unless it's almost impossible, unless it's huge, unless it's like in the stars, and not really respect small goals and small wins. And even it's so funny, like she had a dog trainer come over here the other day, and he talked about like going on short walks because, you know, we need to build up wins. And I just related it so much to my life about giving myself small wins, and not everything has to be a big, huge goal. And I think the Mountainese you really broke down for me that like, sometimes I'm self-sabotaging by creating too big of a goal where it's so far from my norm that it's almost going to be impossible because your body and your brain fights things that are so different than what they're accustomed to. And so you have to slowly inch yourself towards change sometimes. And so that was really monumental for me. I know Atomic Habits really helped with that too, in a different way, and just really helped me realizing like, okay, I have to track my habits, and I also have to like pair my habits with things I would naturally do. There was a book, Unoffendable, which really helped me in like how and The Bait of Satan. Those two books really helped me. And I'm a person who I feel like can get not easily offended, but I could be offended.
Get easily offended.
I wouldn't say easily.
Easily, Chissy.
I would beg to differ, but I could be offended, you know, and I can hold a grudge. And those two books really taught me that like offense is a trap, but you don't have to fall into it and you don't have to stay in it. You can choose not to be offended, even when someone does something that's offendable. And especially the Christian perspective of like letting go of things for the sake of Christ. And I'm one who I like to have the right to be upset. Yeah. I like to carry that right. You need to treat me well. And if you don't treat me well, it's done with you. And it really taught me a lot. And so there are and also the gift of self-forgetfulness. It's the shortest book. It's by Timothy Keller. It's an amazing read. And one quote for that book that I really love is he talks about how, I think he's referencing Paul, and he talks about how Paul says, I don't care what they think about me because I don't care what I think of myself. I only care what God thinks about me. And it was just so like, I'm not there, but it was like so aspirational to just hear it, even like that mindset of like, who cares what y'all, I don't care what I think. So I really don't care what y'all think. And so like, and I think also realizing that some things you have to like digest and make a practice. Like you're not just going to transform one day or 1 month. And I think we have so many videos and podcasts and TikToks about like rebrand, change, this and that. But a lot of these things you have to make a practice over time.
And you also can't overconsume. I think one thing that is very easy with social media is that self-help is the meta. Did I use it right? Self-help is the meta when it comes to like growing a platform.
Yeah.
And
yes.
So it is easy. Okay. It is very easy to post self-help content and grow followers, especially towards Black women.
Yes.
And I have a bone to pick with that about how like they really do target us in certain regards when it comes to you need to be more feminine. You need to be
also, is it even self-help or is it like romantic help?
Yeah, it's not even self-help, but I think like there is like the glow up and this and that, but it's so easy to consume so much of that, and they're telling you 15 different things, they're telling you 20 ways to implement it, and that is where I think reading self-help is way more helpful, because first of all, a self-help book is going to be curated to a very specific list, and also it takes you a while to read it if you physically read or even if you listen to the audiobook. So just being mindful, like not taking in too much self-help from all these different sources, all these different versions of who you should be. So I agree.
And I think just if you can take one thing and practice that, and then like I'll probably go back, like these books I've read more than once, and I'll probably go back this year and read The Mountain Is You and just realize like, okay, last time I took the thing about like, I can't make too drastic of a change because my body and my brain will not react well to that.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a second thing now that I have had that in my head for a year that I can now take and like implement.
Exactly. And that's when you're like, oh, I don't read it. That's why sometimes I won't read a self-help book right when it's suggested to me or right when I find it, or I'll read a couple of chapters. There are so many books I can think of where I read 2 or 3 chapters and that's what I took from it. And I just really focused on that. Yeah. And then later you come back and you take a little bit more. But I agree. I think if you're not a reader in general, not just self-help, but reading is so important, y'all. I feel like we keep moving away from reading. I'm an avid reader. And it just is such a blessing to you. It allows for you to slow down. Yeah. There is no better way to silence the noise of the world and the interest in doom scrolling than picking up a book and reading. It just allows for you to truly slow down.
I completely agree. And what is your next point?
So my next one is kind of funny because I feel like the reason I'm going to say it is not what people expect, but buying a house. I bought a house when I turned 29, I think. I was 29, about to turn 30. And the reason that it was one of the best things that I did in my 30s is because I was one of those women who had a list of things that I would save until I was married. I had a list of trips I would save until I was married. I had a list of like buying a house as a single woman seemed crazy to me. Like, I'm going to buy a house and be in charge of a mortgage and all this alone. It seemed insane. But doing it just freed me so much from the fear maybe of like, oh, you're waiting. I always like to say this, that I think that it's very easy when you are a single woman sometimes to live your life in the waiting room where you are just in this waiting room and you're not stepping into living your life fully because you're waiting for this partner to come. And it doesn't even have to be with dating necessarily. Some of us are just stuck in the waiting rooms of our own lives where, yeah, we're living, but we're not living fully. We're not living boldly. And so for me, buying a house and just realizing that like, I can do it.
Did you realize you could do it before you did it? Like, what prompted you to buy the house?
Okay, so what prompted me to be real, y'all, is that we had a hurricane in Houston. And so there's a lot. We're going to go through.
I was like, is that what prompted?
No, that's what started. Like, that's, I think, what really pulled the trigger was the neighbors. There was a hurricane. A family had to move into the apartment next door to me because their house was not able to be lived in. They had a newborn, they had a baby that they were trying to sleep train. And so my room was right next to the baby who was sleep training's room. This baby was crying for hours because, you know, sleep training, you have to let the baby cry it out. The way I would go move to my couch, I'm still hearing the baby cry. I feel like I was going through psychosis. Not even being funny, I felt like I was going crazy. Literally, I complained to the office about them, and the office was like, well, babies cry. That day, I started looking at houses. No lie, that day. But also, before that, I was in a relationship. I just knew I was going to marry him, even though it would have been a terrible marriage, because I was not really into him as much as I think you should be into your partner. I was more so into the idea of being married at a certain age. We went to a very conservative college. We're from the South. By 27, 29, I needed to be wiped up.
Right.
So I was more so anchored to that. And it was a horrible breakup. So I think that also was part of it. Like, okay, I need a little control over my life. I need a little something to hold on to. Insane. I called Chissy one day and I'm like, hey, you want to go look at houses?
I'm like, yeah, sure.
And then just so insane because I started looking, I think on like November or something, because it was during Thanksgiving. Yeah. Nobody was at work. Y'all, I moved into my house on January the 19th. Like, in under 2 months, I closed on a house.
It was so unhinged, but it was also like such a beautiful thing to me because it came from like a period of sorrow.
It did.
But it's like, and that's one thing about Black women, we will turn a tragedy into a triumph because it was either that or I knew you were going to go back to school. It was going to be one or the other.
And I think, we were still together when I went back to school.
So that's probably the only reason you didn't go back because you had already tried to. But it's just so beautiful how like something so great came out of like such a bad season and it was such a blessing. And I still feel like you did everything very, very well. And also just taught me about being prepared for things that you don't even know you'll necessarily want.
And that is another thing. I think that it's very easy to be like goal focused, but sometimes you have to start preparing like God is going to bring it to you before you even see it on the horizon. Again, I never thought I would buy a house as a single woman. I thought that I would rent until I was married. And so to think that like, but the whole time I was preparing by listening to God, he was giving me messages about discipline, about being financially responsible. Did I know what it was for? No. Like randomly I decided like, okay, I don't want to have any credit card debt. 2 years before I even bought a house, it just was like, you're not going to carry credit card debt anymore. And I listened to that message, you know?
I love that. My next thing also was something that I didn't think, which might sound silly to some, I didn't think I could do until I was married. I got a dog.
Okay.
And I got a dog. Also, that also kind of came out of like sorrow because it's 2020. The courts, like everything is locked down, even in Texas. And I had a very like high pressure job.
Yes.
Like I worked as a DA or ADA. And so I was working like 60 to 80 hours a week. And at that time.
And sorry, just for anybody that doesn't know, an ADA is an assistant district attorney.
Yes.
She's an attorney.
And so at that time, like, even though we were shut down, we were still working. And there was always a lot of work to do. So like I'm working from like 7 or 8 a.m. to like 8 p.m., sometimes more, because there's nothing else you can do, right? You're just in your house. I lived alone. And so I was just working all day, every day. And I started to feel depression creeping. Like I'd been depressed enough to know like, this is going to end badly. And so I'm like, I'd been on YouTube scrolling and I was like, oh my gosh, I should go get a puppy. That's what I need. I'm going to get a puppy. I'm going to just foster, because I still thought like I don't have enough time to like own a dog. So I'm like, I'm just going to go foster a puppy. Why I wanted to start with a puppy, I don't know.
Crazy.
It's insane. And not only one, I went to go get a mom and 12 puppies. When I have an idea, like it's very hard to stop me, and I'm insane. So I went and got.
It's one of my favorite qualities about her, though, y'all. Actually, is that she is the type of friend you call her and say, "I'm quitting my job tonight. I'm going to be on a beach in Mexico tomorrow, where I'm opening up a coconut shack." No question, she's gonna be like, "You could do it."
Honestly. And what is going to be the logo? Have you thought about branding?
That's her.
Who's the demographic?
And that night when you're sleeping, she's made a list. She's on Google. So I love that about you. So 12 puppies and a mom is just very on brand.
It's
for
in
her.
my 1-bedroom apartment. It's insane. That didn't work out. Long story short, the dog bit me. I had to call the police and animal control. She had to be tranquilized and carried out. So what did I do? I went back the next day.
And also, y'all, she does not remember this, but the way she did not tell me this until like a year later. She's like, well, you remember when I had the 12 puppies and the mama living in my house, and the cops had to come out and he threatened to shoot her and kill her? But I'm like, no, I don't remember that. What?
Honestly, to this day, I don't think any of my family knows.
No, because she will do things, and then she talks about me. She will do things. We hear about it a year or two later, where it's like, when were you in this chaos?
Because sometimes, like, let's just let it work out a little bit first. So anyway, the next day, I was so determined to have a dog. The next day I went back and I was like, hey, yeah, my last dog didn't work. Do y'all have any other puppies? They're like, we're out of puppies. We have no puppies. Because during
COVID,
everyone went to go get a puppy. And so it was like, well, I have a cat. I need a dog that's just good with other dogs. So they brought me out a couple of dogs, and literally every dog had like, oh, this one just got adopted. Oh, this one is not good with animals. My dog Buddy was like the 7th dog they brought out. And at that point I was like, he looks good. Let's go. And like, he was such a blessing to me. Like and at first he did have some kinks to work out. He was afraid of elevators and stairs. And I lived on the 2nd floor. So it was like, something got to give, my friend. Like, but we worked through that, and he's just been such a blessing. And like in so many ways, I feel like he's taught me so much about myself.
So much.
Being a dog owner, or maybe caring for anything in general that relies on you, teaches you so much about yourself. It also has taught me so much about like how God loves me and sees me in certain ways, which sounds crazy, but it really does. Like I learned so many things. It's also like opened up my...
Expound about how it's taught you how God loves you and sees you.
Okay, for one instance, like Buddy is a greedy baby. Like he loves food, right? So it doesn't matter what you're doing. Like sometimes I'll open the fridge and he'll be upstairs sleeping and he'll come down and just sit there and like wait for you to give him something.
I do call him Turkey, so that tracks.
Which I
call him Butterball, actually.
Why are we fat shaming the dog? And so like he's such a greedy little baby. And sometimes I'm like, I'm not giving you something. I just gave you a treat. And I'll try to ignore him. But it's like, he's fine. He's not going to beg. He's just going to sit there and look at you. And sometimes it's like, just for the fact that you are just here, I'm going to give you something. Like, you're persistent. But also, if I don't give him something, he's also fine. Yeah. Like, it's never any hard feelings. And I'm like, this is the way I want to be with the Lord, where I'm always there. I'm always expectant because I know my caretaker loves me. I know that they give me things. And so I'm always expected that they're going to give me things. But if they don't, I'm also no hard feelings. Yeah. Like, it's like things like that where I'm like, and also the fact that like, I care so much. I take such good care of him, and he's a dog. How much more will my father take care of me? So like, he really has like opened my eyes and expanded my mind to things. And then also like relationships. I've built so many relationships. Now, I did used to live next to a dog park, but I made so many friends. I made 2 really good friends in COVID because they also had dogs. And honestly, for a person who likes animals, if you're moving to a new town, or like, I feel like getting a dog and getting into a dog community.
Getting a dog if you're ready to have the dog for the rest of your life. Dogs are not accessories.
That is true.
They are not, you're going through a season change. They're not, you start dating somebody new that doesn't like dogs and you ditch your dog. These dogs are with us until life. I will fight her in the street if she ever comes over and is like, oh, I'm getting rid of Buddy because I met a man and so yes, I agree. Getting a dog is such a blessing. But understand that it is a commitment.
And the funny thing is, I remember, and I've had actually 2 people tell me like, so if you met the man of your dreams and he didn't want a dog, would you get rid of Buddy? And I'm like, that wouldn't be the man of my dreams.
And that also scares me.
Why?
Those people scare me. Like the fact that you even think that's a conversation.
Because people who don't have pets or don't like pets, they don't see see them in the same way. No. Where it's like, no, like that wouldn't be. And like someone who's close to me was like, you would pass up a potential husband for your dog. And I'm like,
well, he wouldn't be my husband if he didn't.
I just don't. I genuinely, and this, some people might think it's crazy, I genuinely believe that like it was, or like God's plan and blessing for me to have Buddy. Yeah. So why in the world would my husband be someone who wants Buddy to not be, like, to me, it just doesn't connect. No, it doesn't compute. But like, no, I am very committed to my baby. Honestly, people have asked me to have Buddy. Like friends in my life have asked me if they could have Buddy. And it's like, no, that's my baby. And because of Buddy, she opened her heart.
I did.
To adopt dogs.
It's actually quite crazy because Buddy is a scam artist. He's the sweetest, most pleasant dog, y'all. I don't know what trauma he went through before, but kudos to whoever... Like, kudos to him for having a kind heart.
I was going to say, not kudos to who abandoned him in the street.
Kudos to not who abandoned him, but because, like, of whatever he went through, he's just very chill. And so I finally agreed to watch him after, like, a year and a half of her having him. He won me over. I love him so much. So, of course, in my head, I'm like, okay, it's time for me to get a dog. Now, the problem is, I don't go and get a dog from the shelter. I get me a brand new puppy. My puppy is bad as HELL, y'all. To the point where one time I was in the park and I just tied him to a bench. I tied him to a bench and I had to take a lap because y'all know puppies bite. Like they go through he bit me on the booty cheek. And it hurt so bad. I remember like it was yesterday. But anyway, the point is, because of Buddy, I was like, I'll get a dog. What a scam. It's like how moms talk about their first baby's an angel. So they have a second one and then the second one is terrible. That is what happened to me.
I just want to let y'all know this didn't happen to her because I said repeatedly, Krystal, foster a dog. See if it's compatible.
Of course, me, I'm like, no.
Krystal, foster a dog. Do not get a puppy. I think I also said that. Yes. And she just came back one day with a puppy and I'm like, well, here we go.
But yeah, and because of that, I have Oreo. And then Oreo turned me into a really crazy dog lady where now I see a dog running in and out of traffic. I pull over my car. I'm chasing Max in and out of traffic, trying to get him in my car and bribe him with food.
Aww.
Anyway, the point is, yes, because of Buddy, now 2 other dogs are rescued. And honestly, probably more.
Honestly.
I feel like people have really gotten dogs because they've seen her and how well behaved he is. And for me, having a dog and having a pet has just taught me that, first of all, it's good to have another life in the house.
It's so, as a single person, I'm going to be honest, having another soul in your home, it feels amazing.
It does.
Having something to care for also is very fulfilling.
Yes. And it has also been such a mirror to me of like, if I'm blessed to have kids, if I'm blessed to be a mom, the things that I need to unlearn. Because for me, I constantly feel like I'm failing my dogs, which sounds insane, y'all, but I'm constantly like, oh, am I doing enough? Am I being a good enough dog mom? Am I walking them enough? And I realize that really mirrors probably what I would be like as a mom, constantly feeling like I'm not doing enough.
Yeah.
So it really does allow for you to confront those things within yourself
and hopefully work on them now.
Yeah, and work on them now that it seems like easy to ignore, that you don't realize. Because I always say, and this is part of the thing too, people love to go to therapy. They love to read self-help books. But sometimes you think you have healed whatever. You think you have unlearned whatever. You got to get into the fire. Mm-hmm. And you got to see if you have the tools to put the fire out. It's very easy to say you know what you would do and this, that, whatever when you're not in it. So there's something beautiful about like having a dog and realizing like, okay, things I thought I worked through.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't. Yeah. Things I need to examine. But yeah.
Also, just to wrap this point up.
Sorry, yeah, because we're rambling.
No, I love it. Buddy is a shelter dog, so I just want to say, go to your local shelter. Buddy was he's a pit bull mix, and he was going to be put down the day I got him the day before he was going to be put down.
Aww.
So he would not be with us. And he's an amazing dog.
He's so sweet. I literally have never heard him bark.
There are so many beautiful dogs in your shelter. So please, pitties and black dogs are hard to adopt. So please go, just foster and see if it works. So what's your next point, Krystal?
My next one is blocking people. And this is so silly, y'all. But I am the type of person that things will end. And before we start, I want to clarify, this isn't about just like romantic blocking. I will block family members. Like,
as you should.
I was always one of those people who were like, well, what if they need me? Well, what if a car wreck happens? Well, what if something occurs? And I've just realized as I've gotten into my 30s, the importance and the sacredness of people having access to you.
Yeah.
It is not to be played with. It is not to be taken lightly. You are special. Your time is precious. Your energy is precious. The woman or man that you are is so worthy of having people that pour into you as much as you pour into them. And because of that, it is so important to be okay walking away from people.
What made you, what led you to that?
I think realizing that people will take for granted the ability to have access to you. And sometimes it is a green light to continue to mistreat you. It's the same way with if you know that you can overdraft your checking account every month and still they're not going to close your account.
Or even bill you.
You're going to continue to overdraft.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. People were continuing to kind of not treat me how I deserve to be treated and then think that they could walk back into my life. And I had to choose to say okay, well, if a car wreck does happen, I shouldn't be your first point of contact because you wouldn't be mine. Yeah. Because I'm not receiving the same care from you. And even further, taking it to petty stuff, social media. I will block people in a heartbeat now.
Really?
If I don't want to consume their content, the times that we're living in, things are very dark.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people who say crazy stuff. I'm not consuming this. I'm not allowing this to sit on my spirit and my heart. Chissy's the opposite. She's been a blocker. Oh. She gets down with the gets down.
She's just catching up. I'm very proud of her though. But the baby, I've been blocking since high school. I've been cutting people out since, I'm a very avid, actually, I am trying to learn how to pull back and how to give people more grace and more of a line and more, because you ain't gonna have the chance to backstab me. I done sensed from the second sentence that you didn't like me like that. So but you are very much gracious, very much, well, they might need a place to stay. And I'm like, they should have thought about that before they cursed me out.
Yes, and it's not even backstab you. Literally, it's just some people you just have access to me that you should not have. Having access to me is a privilege. Yeah. And you're not treating it like that.
And I think some people you really do have to teach how to treat you.
Yes.
And even though I'm trying not to be as strict, I'm trying not to run as strict of a program anymore, there are certain people where it's especially at work, where it's you're only going to talk to me crazy once. You're only going to talk to me crazy once before you realize I'm not the person to talk crazy to. And I think sometimes you have to just carry that with you to other places so people just realize let me just, mind my P's and Q's with this person. And it's let's just all be respectful. Let's all be mindful. And the sad part is you should be able to just be a gracious, loving, caring person and be treated with courtesy and respect. But for some people, their own trauma does not allow that. They're going to look for who they can take advantage of, who they can run, who they can use and abuse. And so that's why having good boundaries for yourself protects you and your energy so that it's not wasted by the wrong people. Because I'd be very annoyed with that, where it's well, you don't let all these people exhaust you. Now when it's time for me, you ain't got nothing left.
That's very true. That is very true. And that's something I had to work through. And it takes time. I think we're going to have an episode about this when it comes to community building and stuff. But it just really is something to just be mindful of, y'all. It's okay to reduce the amount of contact somebody has to you. And if you're somebody that's like me, that blocking is hard to start with, it is okay to do things where I am not talking to you except one time a week. I'm not going to talk to you besides text message. Just slowly working, because it isn't easy to go from 0 to 100. It took me years of slowly realizing okay, having that conversation didn't make me feel good. Having that text message series drained me more than it added to me. And, working towards it, being okay with that, giving yourself grace, but definitely start to try to implement it, because life is hard, honey.
And I think you also have to know your personality type, because for me, I have to work not to, right? Yeah. And there's some people who y'all block too easy. Every little thing, I'm done. This doesn't serve me. But for her personality type, she has to work hard to protect herself and to maintain her boundaries. So knowing for you, what side of the spectrum do you fall on?
Exactly.
So my next thing is walking several miles a day.
Okay.
This is so cliche, but like, especially on my weight loss journey, walking has helped me so much. And also, it's one of the things, like going back to what I said earlier with like little wins, it's one of the ways that I can win. And it's also like, it's easy, but it's not, right? But it's something I can intentionally do. And so, like, when I'm at work now, I intentionally take breaks to walk up and down the hallways of every floor of my building. When I'm like out, like, even I just see things differently. Even in the grocery store, I'm like, dang, can I get a basket? Because if I push the cart, it's not going to record my steps. Like, even when I have to park further, I'm like, oh, great, I can get some steps in. I knew I was crazy when like I was like in the waiting room to see a doctor and they're like, oh, it's going to be like a 30-minute wait. And I'm like, cool. Or I think I needed to get lab work. And so I went outside and I started walking up and down because I'm like, they're going to text me when I'm ready. And I got like 3/4 of a mile in. I'm like, oh, that's perfect. I would have normally just been sitting.
Yeah.
But like finding ways, or even like the other day, I was like, I don't feel like walking outside. I haven't got as many miles in today as I want to. And so I set my alarm for every 20 minutes. I would walk up and down my hallway at home for 5 minutes. And I got like the other like 2 miles I wanted to get in. And so just having different ways that I incorporate being active. And also it's just so confidence building because it's something I can do and it's a goal and it's something I've made a priority that is good for my health. It's good for my cardiovascular health. It's good for my mental health. Personally, I hate the treadmill. That's the one thing that's hard.
Yeah, I don't like the treadmill either. I think if you're going to start walking, it really is a good idea to start outside. And again, it's not even about the physical for me. I think walking is so, so good for your mental health. Starting your day with a walk. If I could say anything, guys, get out and walk for 15 minutes in the morning.
I would say 30 because, you know.
I think starting small.
Okay.
Because there was a time when Leah would complain about a 30-minute walk. So please.
You're right.
Start with a 15-minute walk and just give yourself that time. It really does something. And I also challenge you with the 15-minute walk, listen to something encouraging. So that could be encouraging music, a good podcast. The way it sets the tone for your day.
And like, it's just nice to feel like in the beginning of your day, you've already done something for yourself. You've already done something for your health. Like seeing the sun early in the day helps you if you have trouble sleeping. So there's just so many benefits. And I've always heard about walking, but it was like, but now that I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just such a joy. It's one of those things like I struggle to lift weights. Like, gosh, I have to go tomorrow. Even like trying to do 2 days of weightlifting, it's like a chore. But walking is something where it's like, it's just a joy and a delight.
It is.
It's something you could do with a group. I'm trying to do this like, you know, Blueprint has their B groups. They have one for walking this year. And so I'm like, oh, that'd be great to go on a group walk. And I'm assuming we like pray before. I don't know. But it's like, it's just a great thing that you could do by yourself or with other people. And I just highly suggest if you have mental health goals, if you have just for anyone. And also, I really want to be mobile as an older person.
Oh, that's so important to me, y'all. Sometimes I'm insane. I'll be in this house just randomly falling down to see how my body reacts. I just want to know that I have good reverb.
Krystal, you're supposed to learn how to fall first.
Well, I don't. I'll just be plopping and seeing what's going to happen. But I think it's so important.
You need to learn how to fall properly.
Well, I need to learn, girl, because I just be,
All right, what's your last one, Krystal?
Okay, my last one is going to sound kind of heavy, but I think it's so important, y'all. I had to take time to grieve the life that I thought I would have. If you are somebody who is highly driven, you have a vision for your life, you know where you're going to be at age 30. You know how we love to say, by 30, I'll be doing this, I'll be doing that. By 35, I'll be doing this, I'll be doing that. I definitely was one of those people where I had those visions, I had those goals. You know, in my head, I just knew that at this age, I would have 4 kids, probably be pregnant with my last one, married, a multimillionaire, like all these things. And for a while, I think that I was so stuck on what I didn't have and where I wasn't, that I wasn't able to truly appreciate and embrace where I was. I'm sad that I don't have these kids that I thought I would have. And it hurts. And I'm angry at God a little bit because I thought that you told me that this would be my portion. I thought that this, and just allowing myself to feel those feelings. One thing that I really struggle with and I'm not a huge fan of is toxic positivity. And it's very pushed down single women's throats. Like, you can't be sad about being single. You can't say that you want to be married.
Decenter men.
Decenter men, decenter this, decenter that. And I just feel like that's super unfair and unrealistic. You are okay to be sad about things.
Yeah.
You're okay to hurt about things.
Yeah.
Can you sit in that spot forever? No. But allow yourself that time to be like, dang, I am sad about this. It does hurt me. Grieve it. Lay it to rest and then move forward and live your life to the fullest.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is something that's so important. I also think it's so funny because Chissy and I think went through this at different times where I maybe like grieved probably like 2 or 3 years ahead of her. And then one day she called me, I called her and she like was not answering the phone. She was off the deep end.
I feel like I've grieved several times in different ways.
Yeah. I feel like this last time though was a little bit more intense.
This year?
Yes. Was it this year or last year? I feel like it was the last one where you were just a little bit more intense. And so, I don't know. Don't you feel like it's important to kind of have that moment?
I think, yes. And also it's just hard because it's hard, always hard to grieve something that never was because there's going to be like a lack of acknowledgement from anyone else that you have a loss, right? Because how do people show up for you in something that you're also even acknowledging it? Sometimes it's hard to even come to a place where it's like, this is what's making me sad. This is what's making me upset. I do not have this. I don't know if I ever will. And like also people trying to like kind of trying to detract from like your pain sometimes. Yeah. Because I think the best meaning people will be like, oh, you know, you're lucky you have your single time. You're lucky you have all this and you don't even want a husband. You don't want kids. I'm so tired. But they wouldn't trade their life for yours because people who have a husband, it's not like you're divorcing. Well, some people do. But you know what I mean? Like, it's like you can complain about your kids all you want, but you are happy to have them. And so sometimes I feel like you get this almost patronizing response where it's like, oh, I wish I could be traveling on the dime's notice. And I'm sure they do. But
it doesn't make what you're experiencing hurt any less.
It doesn't.
Or make it any less valid.
Yeah.
Because I believe we all go through seasons where the grass seems greener, right? Mm-hmm. I know that there's some marriages that seem so great to me that when I got into it, I would be like, girl, what the hell? Send me back to the house where I was alone with 2 dogs. But True. The reality is that like there is still a sadness and a grief.
And I think you just have to make space for that. And the thing with grief is like, you don't know when the grief is going to come. It comes in waves. Sometimes it dies down. Sometimes it comes back. And so just allowing that, like, this is something I wanted. This is something I may not have. I don't know if this is going to happen. And then also being able to speak that.
Even if it does happen, allowing yourself to grieve the fact. Because I think the thing is this. I don't think we're hopeless. It's not going to happen for us. But I don't think we're going to be 25 and married and young and turn and Cabo with our homegirls.
It's not, don't think.
It's impossible. Like, right? It's not going to happen. So giving yourself that. Because that's sometimes what I grieve too. Yeah. Not the impossibility of it. Because I do believe that, like, if it's meant to happen, it'll happen. I'm grieving the fact that, like, I just knew I would be 25 with my homegirls. We're all married at the same time. Now we all in Cabo with our men getting drunk, twerking. These bitches all got babies now.
And they're not gonna show up to bachelor parties. They're not gonna show up
they're not gonna show up to bachelor parties like I did where I was going to Cabo, Cancun, whatever. There's not gonna be my wedding, everybody's sloppy drunk and having the time of their life because they're going home to their babies. Like, that's more so grieving that, you know?
Yeah. And also, like, ideally, right, I would have wanted to have like several years of like just me and my husband traveling the world before kids were even in the picture. And it's like, well, time's a ticking, you know? So it's like the life that you imagine and the way that you imagined it won't possibly happen, but also realizing that like there are beautiful things that could happen that are different than you ever thought of.
Exactly. And when I say just grieving the life you thought you would have, I think it's important to confront those feelings instead of constantly feeling like you have to push them down. Yeah. That's more so what I mean. Like, if you're going through that feeling, you can't run from it forever. You have to allow yourself to sit still, feel it, journal, confront it, and then move forward.
And I think also sometimes it's doing the work of separating your worth from these achievements that you set up for yourself.
Yes.
And understanding like my worth is not defined by any of these things. Like, my worth is independent of all of these things. I am still worthy, because also the world, society, your friends, sometimes your family will make you feel otherwise.
They will.
And so you just have to understand that and separate it for yourself.
And celebrate yourself, celebrate your friends that are also single in those wins, because it does also become very, very apparent as you get older that, like, the only time I'm going to be celebrated fully is if I'm getting married or I'm having a baby. And if those things aren't happening, people aren't showing up. Like, maybe I would hope they would. So I try my best to, you know, pour into Chizzy, pour into myself. I know she does the same for me. And we do that for our other single friends because if not, again, it's just like it adds to those feelings of sadness and grief. You gotta live life. Also, get young and turn while you can. I embrace. That's why I'm a hobby queen. Because when else am I gonna have the time to do it?
I love it. My last thing, which has also been so important for me, is finding Christian community and being discipled. Yes. I think for a long time, I was trying to do so much alone. And not even to say I didn't have friends, because I've always been blessed with amazing friendships, with best friends, with close friends who love and support me. But I think there's something different about finding people to mentor and disciple you, where their pure focus is your spiritual growth and maturity. And I think that really changed a lot for me when that finally started happening. It began with my sister-in-law, and now a close, what started out as my home group leader, but is now just a close friend. And having people walk with me, it really also reminded me one thing that is so sanctifying about marriage is like when somebody really knows you, they can call out things that you would just have never known about yourself or never seen as a problem. And I think a lot of times my problem previously was like, no one really knew my struggles in a deep, intimate way. No one knew my sin. No one knew like where my heart was. Like no one was even asking those questions. But like,
or I won't say that because I think I knew, but I think also there is something about having someone, a close friend can't disciple you.
Yeah.
A disciple can turn into a close friend, but there has to be a level of respect and like, hierarchy almost, if that makes sense. I know that sounds bad. I'm trying to find a better word.
No, because I think you give people, I think especially for discipleship, you give this person authority to correct, to speak into you, which you don't necessarily give to your friend to the same extent. But I even think like there's certain things where it's like, you won't know because you're not going to dig in the way that somebody will dig. Because certain things I don't even understand until they're asking probing questions that are uncomfortable.
And again, like, I think that comes from like not having it be a close friend. Yeah. Because when you are a close friend, sometimes you don't want to trust versus somebody who's like, my purpose is to walk you through this and to unearth things that haven't been. And so, because
they'll see something and instead of being like, because also even me, like I'll say one little thing and I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna leave it there. But they'd be like, no, let's go further. What's happening? Why are you doing that? How can we walk? Like, and also like finding people who are not shameful, finding people who are not going to make you feel shame or guilt. And their real thing is getting to the core of like, what is at the heart of this? Where is your heart right now? Like, let's get to like the soul of the matter and not just the actions. And so finding people to disciple me, and also like this amazing Christian community where it's like I hang out with people and we just generally talk about things that interest us. And sometimes it's scripture, sometimes it's sports, sometimes it's whatever. But finding people that I genuinely love and like I know care for me and will be a community for me. I think community is so important. And one of the great things about real intimate community is like they see you and they know you and you share stuff. So like when I was really struggling with like my birthday and like feeling like I haven't done the things I wanted to do in my life, they would be texting and I'd be like, hey guys, I'm going through a really rough time. I'm struggling with this. Pray for me. And just knowing that like these people are actually thinking about me, praying for me. So
having a place to even be vulnerable enough to say that. Because that's the most important thing too. I think that through you finding a good Christian community that isn't shaming you, that you don't feel like it's judgment, you're able to come to the table more open than maybe you could have in other places, right? Yeah. So it allows room for you to feel that support, for you to feel that love, because you're in a safe space.
And having people really like show up, because like, and it's great in general just to have prayers, but like people message and it's like not a huge group, right? It's small groups, but it would be like, hey, can I bring you food? Do you want us to just come over and watch a show with you? Like people will really like show up in real ways, right? And just text and call and just check on you. And I just feel like, I think a lot of times I felt like, why can't I do these things by myself? Everyone else is doing fine. Are they? Who knows? But in your mind, you're like, everyone else is doing fine. I should be able to handle all this by myself. And getting out of that mindset and realizing like none of us were meant to walk this alone. We were all here to carry each other's burdens and like really being a part of the community and not being ashamed to have your burdens carried. And doing so allows you to carry others without shaming them as well.
I mean, I think it's been beautiful to see your growth. I think one thing is that I won't say you were selfish, but you were a self-centered person. She was the type of person where like she may pick me up to go somewhere, but if we were like, oh, let's go pick up somebody else, she'd be like, I'm not picking them up. Now she'll be like, yeah, I'll be happy to pick them up. And we were all going to the same place. It might be an extra street over. And she's like, I'm not picking them up. And so it's been
I don't know them.
Yeah. And so it's been beautiful to see her have that spirit of like, yeah, I'll pick them up. I really knew something was happening when one time, I forgot where we were, and a lady was struggling with her stroller. And the way she ran to help this lady with the stroller, and not to say she's very giving and very kind, but it was very much so like you had to be in her inner circle for you to see that side of her and for her to have that level of care and selflessness, versus now I see it show up in other ways where it's like you don't have to know this person to have investment to have that care. And so it's really beautiful. And I also think the discipleship is really, specifically with your close friend, is helping you heal your mother wound.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful to see as well. So I agree. I've never been discipled, but hopefully it will happen soon. I will find somebody. I want it to be somebody older, of course. And so,
which it doesn't have to be, but yeah, that'd be great.
I think it would be better for me.
Yeah. Especially because we have your own mother wounds. And so I feel like that also would be really, really loving. And that also goes to your point of like, sometimes the love you receive is not where you gave it.
Yeah.
And just understanding like, that's still a blessing. You may not get it from the well you poured into, but you're still getting it nonetheless.
Yes. And that's a beautiful thing. I think keeping that in mind, y'all, not to sidetrack, but just understanding that sometimes you are sowing a seed into land. That land's going to look barren, but you're going to go down an acre. That land is filled. And so just understanding that we're like, there's so many examples where I have loved deeply, I have given deeply, and I was so grieved and heartbroken about like, why am I not getting this love in return? Why am I not getting this care in return? But then I had to switch that mindset, and like, my mom passed away, and shout out to my friend Amalette, because I had never heard this term, the spirit of an orphan. And I realized like how deeply I struggled with like the spirit of an orphan from losing my mom in my like very early 20s. I was 20. And so it's very common for me. I feel like it's one of me and Chizzy's biggest issues is I'm always like, I don't have anybody. I'm alone. I'm out here doing it solo. And I know I hurt her feelings because she's like, I'm always here. And she is. She's a great friend to me. And I'm surrounded by so much love. But because I was looking at maybe like where my family has failed me, the wells that I was pouring into, maybe relationships have failed me, where I was pouring into, reframing that and realizing like, you didn't get it from here, but God brought you 5 other people to fill the little bit that you would have got from here you were begging for, he at times 5 did over here. And this is what you need to focus on and give love to. So that's a sidetrack.
No, I love that. I think it goes into our reflective wrap-up.
Yeah.
What's your biggest takeaway?
My biggest takeaway is that your 30s are going to be such a beautiful experience of you just realizing things. Not me sounding like, who was that said that, Kylie? This is just the year of realizing things. But truly, you are going to realize things and be able to see things for what they are in such a beautiful way. It's also so important that you be gentle with yourself.
Yeah. I think my biggest takeaway is that the time only helps if you use it to grow. Yes. I think you could have years of stagnancy if you're not really working on growing. But one great thing about your 30s is having all the foresight from your first adult decade in your 20s and really realizing like, okay, who do I want to be? What life do I want to have? And working towards that, because everything I am today is just from the steps I took yesterday, right? So like, really working towards like the life I want to have step by step, day by day, because everything you're going to reap is from the work you've done in the past, right?
Yes.
And so that's my biggest takeaway. Our last segment that we like to do that you're going to see is a teeny bit too much, where we talk about just what's been a little bit too much for us in the week. So, Krystal,
and before she says it, I would love if y'all would write y'all's down in the comment section. What was your teeny bit too much for the week? If you made it to the end of this podcast, let us know. This is where you get to complain a little bit.
Period. What was a teeny bit too much for you, Krystal?
Baby, let me make a list, okay? First of all, my teeny bit too much is your neighbors that are a little bit too nosy. Because why are you moving my trash can? Every single time, it's just trash day. Trash day was at like 9 a.m. I go to work at 9:30, okay? In that 30-minute window, my neighbor who's retired will move my trash can. Like from the street. And I don't know if he's doing it to be sweet. Maybe he's like...
Maybe he doesn't want it to get hit by a car.
Yes, and maybe he's like, poor single girl. Let's move the trash can. I hope so, because I have cried twice. So... But sometimes I'm like, sir... give me a second. Let me get out the house and get it. That's mine. I'll save the other ones for later on. What's yours?
My teeny bit too much is demonic scary movies.
Okay.
I'm not a big scary movie person, but I do like certain scary movies. But whenever it has the witchcraft and it's literally, I can't sleep. Like, I can't watch them.
Girl,
it's too scary. I remember one time I went into theaters to see, was it not Blair Witch? Ooh, that I'm aging myself. No, what's the one where it's like Paranormal Activity?
Oh, girl.
I couldn't sleep for days. I don't know why. Ever since then, I was like, I don't even play with the ones where it's like The Hills, even though The Hills have eyes. I don't think that's demonic. But sometimes, whenever it looks like spirit, I can't. It's too much. Like, give me a good slasher film. Maybe I can do it if it's just a regular.
No, I can't even do that, sister.
You can't do like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
My scariest I'm trying to watch is Hocus Pocus and Practical Magic.
You're not serious.
Crank the TV. Put that Hocus Pocus on and let's jam out. Maybe Final Destination if I'm feeling
Final
crazy.
Destination I can do.
Or Scream. Those are my
yes.
Scream is like my peak.
I want a villain I can take.
Yeah.
I want a villain that I can go get the stick and we can have a,
Yes.
But when you're using the powers of this and no. Return to sender. I can't do it, girl. Before we do our outro, I just want to dreamcast a little bit. This is our first episode of our first season. Clearly, it's just going to be us two, right? But who would be your top 2 ideal guests for next season?
Beyonce.
I should have started because mine are real realistic, but go ahead.
Beyonce. I just like Beyonce. I'm a Virgo. You're a Virgo. We're from the H. You're from the H. I used to be a funplex skating. You used to be a funplex skating. I love some Frenchies. You love some Frenchies. We got a lot in common, sis, okay? And I have great questions for you about your business, about your life. I won't get too much into it because I know you don't play, but I have business questions and career questions, okay?
You know what my first question for Beyonce would be?
What?
What song do you regret making the most and why is it Nasty Girl? And she would never come back. But I do love you, though. I do love you. I just would want to know your thoughts on it now.
Yes. So who would your first guest be?
My first guest would be Olandria Carthen.
Okay.
Mother. I stand, first of all.
You just switched up because you used to be really riding hard for Janae and Serena.
I still love Janae and Serena. Don't ever get it confused. Don't ever get it confused. We're going to have a Love Island episode too. I love Janae and Serena. If I could have all 3 of them on the couch, line them up.
But she gets if you could pick one, she would be
for right
one.
now. Yes, she does.
Okay.
She's a dog interfering. Give us a moment. But yeah, Olandria Carthen. I would love to interview her. Girl, I know you love Houston, so this won't even be a hard trip for you.
She lives here technically. I don't know if she moved already.
She might. I feel like she might be in LA now.
Probably.
But I love me some Olandria. So, girl, come be with your dark skinned sisters, okay? Come on our couch. We will ask you very good questions. I think she would get great material from it. And also, people love to say Black women are too much. So this is exactly the place for you.
Yes.
Who's your second?
Michelle Obama.
Krystal. You gonna invite Michelle Obama to this couch? Where will the Secret Service sit, Krystal?
Baby, they can be downstairs. They can sit on the stairs. Michelle Obama, listen, you're a queen. If you see this, we will put the dogs away for you. I would love to interview Michelle Obama.
Okay, you know what?
Her book was just so good.
Now, Michelle is, of course, top 5 if I had a dinner, of course.
Yeah.
Having her on the podcast, let's dream big, Michelle.
We can cross promote. You come
also,
our
you know
podcast,
what would be
we'll
really, you know who I really want, Michelle? Bring her daughters.
Yeah, that would be good. A mother-daughter episode.
Oh my gosh. We would cry.
We would for sure.
We would cry because we talk about our mother.
Because I would love to ask her about parenthood specifically because you raised children in the White House and you raised really smart girls that have their own identity. I would like to ask her about the cigarette smoking and how she's handling that because they smoke cigarettes, but
and she's all very health conscious.
She's very health conscious.
I wonder if that's a form of rebellion.
Probably relatable.
I would love to have them on. So yeah, that's
who would your
one.
last one be?
My last one is, and I don't want to say her name incorrectly. I just listened to her podcast.
Don't, girl, because isn't she Nigerian?
Yeah, but she's Yoruba, so I don't know how to pronounce them as well. Olamide Olawe. I probably said that wrong.
She is the founder of Topicals, if you don't know.
Which y'all should know. But no, she's the founders of Topicals. And she is just such an inspiration to me. She is so well spoken. I hate saying Black women.
Yeah, don't say that.
But the way she
I don't want to cancel you.
the way she speaks about and has the foresight about how important who she is and what she's doing is, and what it means for other Black women coming behind her, and the pressure of that, like the way she articulated that just really touched me. And I love a founder story. I'm very big.
I hope y'all can see me, by the way.
Krystal, they probably can't, but it's okay. There's 2 dogs on her. We gotta wrap this up. But I love a good founder story. And I think she would be great. Also, there was something she said in her interview with Grace Beverly where she talks about being too much. And it just made me think about our podcast and why we're called a teeny bit too much. Because a lot of times as Black women, as successful women, as career women, you're considered too much. You're considered too loud, too bold, too this, too that. And so embracing that. So the fact that she said that made me just feel like, oh my gosh, are we destined to have her on our podcast? Are we destined to be on a Topicals brand trip? All right, guys, thanks for joining us today for this Grown Woman Glow Up video. If it hits, please go ahead and like and also follow us. We are on TikTok, we're on Instagram, and we're on YouTube.
Yes, and this season we are trying to get 100 5-star reviews on our first season of the podcast. So make sure that you review us anywhere that you watch or listen to podcasts, okay? Okay, now y'all, I promise this is not a podcast about dog rescue, but let's play the preview of next week's episode.
Toodles.
Bye. This is Diabolical. Take a picture.
Island really kind of healed some things for me. It really did. You could be a vintage Chanel in prime condition, but if somebody is looking for a Gucci Marmont bag, they're not going to choose you. And that's fine.
Not to get too deep and sound like a trad wife, but I do think that Western culture now, specifically women, we are in so many spaces where we are constantly leaning into our masculinity.
Yeah.
We're constantly having to be go-getters. We're climbing up corporate ladders, we're leaning in, we're girl bossing, that it can unfortunately lead to you feeling like you need to earn love or that you need to overstay your welcome or prove yourself in your value.